Yo, you better be nice to that like button or I will not be very happy. Absolutely not. What's up? Oh, wow. We are just getting straight into it. My goodness. My scenes don't work anymore. I'm not really sure why that is the case, but... oh, wait. I turned my music way down. Sorry, doing some finagling here. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Sorry for the delay. My son just randomly came down with a fever, and my wife had a meeting she had to go to, so I actually need to pull up the baby monitor right now and just make sure he's doing okay. So if I have to like randomly step away or whatever, just know that's the reason. I think he'll be okay. But welcome. What's up? What's up? Lovingly caress the like button. Yeah, maybe we should get a little freaky around here with the like button, huh? I mean, the like button's been abused for so long. I think it could use a more intimate touch. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome. Today we've got quite a stack of streams to get through today, so I'm gonna try to get through the SPL stuff relatively quickly. It seems like a pretty basic layout, and I think it's a 3-man. I think. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong if this SPL layout is a 3-man or not. So we're going to talk about that. Afterwards, we're going to do the masterclass of zone control. I know that's one that people have asked for before, and that's going to be great. And then after that, we're going to do the EPL layout. That's I don't know when that tournament is. I'm sorry I dropped the ball on layouts. With the tournament being NXL Windy City just happening recently. Things just kind of got thrown out the window for me in a lot of cases. So. Sorry, 1 second. Hey, really quick. I don't know if you guys know, but I have merch now. It's 3-man and 5-man. Okay. Is the zoning stream tomorrow? No, the zone stream. Oh, I just answered your question. Also, your name changes so much, Luke. No, the zone stream is after. So. Okay, I have merch now, guys. You can check out the description below that says merch is here and click that link. Go through the whole form. It's very short. The big thing to be aware of is that if you're not quite sure what address is associated to either your credit card or your PayPal, you are welcome to message me and just ensure that it's the correct address. Otherwise, all I'm going to have to go off of is whatever address either of those gives me through PayPal. So just be aware of that. But otherwise, if you guys want to get your merch in, your SVP merch before World Cup, please put in your orders like as soon as possible. I already have a wave that's sent over to Daizana, but they have to batch order stuff for now. And so if you want your stuff to get here before World Cup, get your orders in as fast as possible. I'm working with Daizana to have my merch just listed on their website just indefinitely, but even then it still probably it's going to have to be batched in some way. So we've already got like 6 orders so far. So thank you guys so much for that support. I really appreciate that. It's super exciting to see people get really hyped for the merch, and it is pretty sick. So I don't blame you. Next thing, as always, join the Discord server. If you're in YouTube right now and you are not a part of the Discord server, I'm just gonna say it, you probably have bad breath. Okay, join the Discord server. It's the best way to stay up to date on everything that's going on in my community. And thanks guys for making it such a fun community. We get into lots of discussions about paintball, video games. We've been covering the COD, Modern Warfare 2 stuff recently, so it's a good place to hang out. We also even get into some disagreements about what, tolerances mean within an AR-15 and AKs. I'm looking at you, Luke. In any case, last thing, again, please be so gentle to that like button, okay? We've got 15 people watching. We have 10 likes so far. If you wouldn't mind just giving that like button a little tickle, I'm sure... I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that, dude. I don't know. That seems a little too weird. But let's jump right into it here. Let me just do something. Come on. This mouse sometimes just does not want to work. So give me a second. Okay. Something a little more intimate. Make sure you guys get yourself some water. I actually did not get myself some water, so that's not going to be great. But here we have the SPL layout. Also, thanks to everybody. We've got... I need to mention these people, otherwise I'd be remiss. Brandon O. Bem Raps. Thank you for becoming a member for 6 month streak, dude. Holy. Thanks to everybody who's recently subscribed to the channel, as well as a super valuable membership from Jeremy. Jeremy, if you're in here, buddy, thank you. 2-month streak, in fact. That's amazing. So thank you so much. As well as Work It. Thank you so much for the 5-month supporters. So thanks, guys, for the memberships. It really does help the channel out a lot. And because of you guys, we are gonna have an editor on the channel. Not somebody that's gonna do the big videos. I'm still gonna be the one handling those primarily, but we are gonna have some editing help, which means we're gonna get more videos out to you guys because of your support. So thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate it. But let's get into this. As always, the very first thing that we start with is these zones, which in the case of this layout, it's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. You could, and again, these are always subject to change. You could draw them based, I'm just drawing these based on first impressions. These can always change. So from Dorito side to Snake side, it is always Iowa or Dragon. Sorry, that's a D. And then it is, oh my gosh, Nevada, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arizona, or Charger. You use Dragon and Charger if you're only going to use the most outer zones to communicate to people. Otherwise, if you're going to use all of the zones in between, it's always Iowa, Nevada, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona. And the purpose of these zones is that if you find that you kill somebody in, let's say, the Iowa, it's very likely that the next person is going to be in the zone just behind that, and so on and so forth. If you call Nevada, for example, it means that these two zones are clear, and that the only people left are those in Texas and anybody over on the Snake side. So that's the reason that we draw that. Hard to get into paintball flame wars with gray airsofters in the comments. Okay, so let's then talk about the layout itself. So the very first thing that we always do, as you guys know, is we walk the back line and see what shots exist and shots that are going to be dangerous on our ways, on our way to certain bunkers. So obviously the very first thing is that the back center is pretty free to pause and just shoot this entire gap here. So that's obviously going to be a big problem. But we do have the ability to come to this bunker and apply some pressure in this blind shot over the top. Obviously, they can shoot back at us as well. Sorry, let me change that color. It's not going to be very good to see. So that's something to be aware of as well. Sorry. Okay, there we go. But then, yes, when you cross this Aztec, it's going to be a big gap to get through. The advantage, however, or the nice thing is that if you run and gun back at the home guy and you practice that shot, especially if you put your paint right here as you're running this direction, your paint's going to likely fly into that guy that's going to either take a knee or be standing shooting at you as you run and gun perhaps to the corner. So that's nice. Otherwise, if you're just running and going into the Snake, you know, that's a risk you're going to have to take. This layout looks close, but I imagine it's still going to be 300 feet per second. Some 3-mans are only like 280 FPS. And if that's the case, this Snake run is going to be a little easier. Not much, but a little. Otherwise, when you get to this corner here, you do have this inside shot, which if you go low, you will duck. But if you run and gun into it, that's also a spot you'll need to worry about. And then it seems pretty straightforward as far as heads up is concerned. It is not a true tape, meaning that the Snake corners do not see down the wire. Meaning that if there's somebody in the Snake, you could still probably put enough pressure on them to stop them from moving up, but it's not perfect. Like, for example, you can't really stop anybody from going in from this little knuckle here to this 50 Snake we'll call the Viper. Yo, Mike Rhodes, dude, Mike Rhodes is a big homie. Thanks to everybody who's purchased merch from the link. I really do appreciate it. Mike is one of those guys. There's a few other people here too that I probably just haven't recognized, so thank you. Okay. Next thing, we then go to the Dorito side. The gap does exist, but this is actually a number 3 spot as well. Like the number 3 could also stand here and shoot at you. A little bit of a tighter angle, and certainly if you dive into this Aztec, your chances of getting shot are pretty low. Unless the number 2 on the Dorito side stops right here in this gap, in which case it's probably about the same survivability as this gap over here. And again, that's actually true for this side as well. So if the number 2s decide to stop in the open, like say for example right here, this is a huge gap for them to be shooting into with relative safety, right? Unless you're going to drop shots over the top of these wedges, you're pretty safe to do so. And if you take a knee, you're even safer to do so. So just be aware of that. And the same is true for the number 2 here, where what he's doing is dropping his paint into this little valley right here. So that kind of sucks for you guys. Lol. And then kicking out here to the corner. You have a pretty big gap here. And anytime there's like a number 2 who can shoot at you really well, it's really just a matter of racing past their gun, right? They're going to have to take some steps to get here, but he's going to get here well before you get to this Dorito. So that's pretty rough. And even the home guy could probably shoot you if he shoots his paint like somewhere in this corner right here. It might just bounce and hit you as you're getting in, but that's not super reliable. But interesting so far. No, do not take a knee from the back center. Like I've played 2 weekends on this layout. You'll get clipped from random blind shots over the center structure. That's great. Okay. Well, I mean, I agree that you'll take a lot of random shots, but that's only if you're putting paint towards the back center. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, if you start to get pressure from the back center, for example, like I probably wouldn't stand right here, but just be aware that like there's a lot of layouts in which people play gaps and blind spots. It is the nature of the game. But just don't do the same spot every time, right? You are very likely going to take heat from people just shooting paint randomly towards you, but make your opponents earn that, right? Force them to put that paint towards the back center as people run out to the corners. And in some cases, like I've talked about this many times on this channel before, when you run out to this corner, if you don't shoot back at the home, for example, this ends up being like their chances of hitting you are like probably 80%, right? If this guy is stationary, and he's shooting at you as you're running out, his chances of hitting you are probably pretty high. Maybe not quite high as 80, but you get the point. Whereas if you run out to this corner and you shoot back at the home, then this turns into, in some cases, a 60-40, or if you're really good and your accuracy is good running and gunning, it even becomes a 50-50, which is what you're shooting for, right? And the reason you're shooting for that is because although there's a lot of pressure that can come your way towards the back center if you're playing any of these spots right here, it doesn't mean that you should just avoid this entirely, right? You should never make game plans around things that it's like, well, there's a possibility I'm going to get shot doing this. That's sometimes unavoidable, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't send people to the snake off break every time or at all, right? And so just be aware of that. I understand that people are going to get shot doing this, but it is a thing that there's essentially 3 spots it looks like you could take a knee in or just stand or whatever. It's kind of essentially these 3 spots right here. Don't do the same thing every time. It's probably a low survivability if people are putting 2 or 3 guns towards you. But if that's the case, if you find that like let's say they're running to both corners, let's say this is in 3-man, they're running to both corners and this guy's coming here and he's maybe even shooting over the top, then then you know I can't really be here. I can't be in the back center because I've got 3 people shooting at me. But if you find that nobody's really getting any heat up the middle, and they're sending their guy up here, well, maybe what we do is we decide we're going to bingo somebody over on one side of the field and then push that side. Okay. All right, let's look at the snake side then really quick. So this can obviously has a lot of inside shots towards the home as Impulse had pointed out. So there's a lot of over the top back center shots here. You have a little bit of a cheeky blind, because really what the game that you're playing is, which blind do you want to be standing in? Do you want to be standing here? Do you want to be standing here? Really, these blinds in between are not really that consequential, I would imagine. It's probably very similar. But, if you're standing here, if you go up here, these are all in some cases very meaningfully different places to stand. It is possible for a random ball to hit you just by somebody spraying that area, but just know these are meaningfully different spots to be standing from, right? Somebody might be shooting their paint that actually hits right here while you're standing in the back center shooting this way. So you have to really play that game as a back center guy to figure out the freaking moth again. You got to figure out where you want to be, and just make a decision, especially in 3-man. This is true for 5-man as well. But in 3-man, all you're really deciding is which guy do we want to kill? Do we want to kill the Dorito guy or the snake guy? Sorry, I did that in opposite orders. You could certainly target the home guy as people run out, but a lot of times the decision of who you want to kill on either side is really going to dictate what your home guy does. So, yo, got to try out for WCPPL Premier Team next week. I have to thank you, SVP, for all the help and tips here on the Discord. Dude, Nick, let's go. Which team? I'm so curious. What about wrapping to the right of the cab and shooting inside, or the can? Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that here in a second. 3 up the center. Yeah, that's also a possibility we'll look at here in a second, guys. So let's finish looking at the snake side here really fast. So obviously you have a pretty straight heads up battle here. Huge gaps to obviously fight through. Wrapping, you definitely have a blind shot towards the home. At this point, I doubt they're going to be staying anywhere in that gap for you to shoot. But if you run out here quickly, maybe. You just want to run. You don't want to run the risk of like this guy matching you, and the first thing he does is shoot at you while you're trying to wrap at the home, because this guy's then going to kill you by doing that. I'm just going to break this field down from a 5-man perspective, because 3-man is just simpler than that. But this field is pretty small for 5-man, I'll be honest. You have some really great inside shots coming here. You even have a crossfield shot, which I think is only used probably to keep your opponents honest. I really wouldn't say dedicated on this. But if you find that in 3-man especially, I would say this is a bit more pertinent to 3-man than 5-man. But if you find that as people are kicking out to their bunkers off the break, like let's say this is the standard breakout that people are doing, it might make sense, especially because this freaking bug. It might make sense because these guys are going to be getting in a heads-up battle and really kind of focusing on each other for the most part. It might make sense for this guy to actually put some paint over the top and try to bingo this guy in a more creative way. But again, I would say that's a bit more pertinent to like a 3-man situation than it would be a 5-man, because you can definitely give up what's going on heads up for just a moment to then to do something on the opposite side of the field, but then to pick this job back up, right? To then focus your attention heads up. So getting into the Aztec here, assuming that nobody is in the middle, which it sounds like it's probably, I mean, this is a super easy move to make. I would suspect that the default play is going to be running up the center. If the home guy or the center guy is not looking your way, this center route is actually pretty safe. If you make it again in the early game, because people are probably going to be focusing again heads up on whatever's going on the Dorito side. And if you make this move quick, this guy's probably either not in the Dorito yet or is on his way to the Dorito, like diving and everything. So as long as the home guy is not looking your way and you're blinding out whatever's going on in front of you, you could probably come up here and get a surprise pick on somebody who would be running with their gun down, trying to get in the Dorito or even going to the corner. So I would say that, I mean, it's hard to say like this is a really strong bunker. It's just a very read and react move, but that's also, you know, definitely a possibility where if both of you guys go to the Aztecs, you kind of wrap around to see what's going on the inside, come up here and just focus on what's heads up for a second. You know, if you make that move, you know that nobody's crossed this zone yet, right? If you're keeping your eyes downfield. And as long as you know that, this move is relatively safe. It's possible to get stuck here, which would not be great, right? Especially if they get to the Dorito 2. But if they're at the Dorito 1, you're pretty safe as long as they're not in the, as long as they're only in the Aztec. And then obviously you have the option to dive into here. The only tricky part is if they're still in the Aztec, he will absolutely chop you up if you overslide or do anything like that. And in the case of three mans, I probably wouldn't suggest diving into that. Lost Dutchman, they move up from D3 to Premier. Dude, that's awesome. I love oh man, I'm gonna embarrass myself here as I say I love this guy. What is his name? Is it Jordan? I can't remember all of a sudden what his name is. He came to try, he tried out for our team in 2021. Super cool dude. They actually last year won, I think, at one event or maybe two. And he came and practiced with it. Was awesome, dude. I love that guy. But again, I can't remember his name. I think it's Jordan. I don't know, man. That's cool. Good luck. Okay, going to the corner then. Coming out to this corner, which seems to be pretty strong. You obviously dominate the snake by just raining paint on them, I would say. Okay, hold on. This freaking bug, dude, is... he's got to stop. Die. Oh, I got him. Okay, well, he's at least dazed. I flicked him. So you do have a little bit of a blind shot to worry about. I'm not sure if you could shoot back at them, but maybe. I'm not tall enough to probably make that shot because I don't stand high enough on cans, but that shot does exist. This is really only a consideration for 5-man, I would say, because I'm not sure that you go to the corner in 3-man. Only because if you get to here and they get to the corner, you have the ability to react to that. Again, if this guy's not looking at you, you have the ability to react to that. If they are here and in the corner, you are in big trouble if you make this move. But otherwise, it's just like really the purpose of being into the corner is helping your teammates move up in the snake. And if you kill the guy, then obviously you can launch into the snake, which is great. And a 3-man, though, I'm not sure it's like that important, except you could come to this wing here and again put pressure on the center guy and then kind of run through. But in a 5-man scenario, I think this bunker is amazing. I think this bunker is great. It's definitely the bunker to get to help your teammate get up the snake. Getting into the snake 1 You definitely have a blind shot on the corner, but I wouldn't challenge him. In a 5-man scenario, I would just try to move up. And in this case, as soon as you get to the snake 1, there's nobody who can shoot you. Again, assuming it's in the early game, you're not trying to capture any sort of positioning or recapture any sort of positioning. You're just kind of equal with each other in terms of your positioning. And if that's the case, you can actually get up to this knuckle here pretty easily. And then it becomes a snap battle, which you just have to be very, very careful about. And the other issue is that if you're too high when you come to take this battle, you'll notice that the center guy will chop you up. So just be aware of that. As far as what the snake 1 can see on the inside of the field, interestingly enough, you can put some pressure on the Dorito in either a zone control or just to shoot at him again to keep them honest. In the case of a 3-man, you know, it's always good to just like randomly shoot balls on the opposite side of the field to just make sure nobody's playing over the top too crazily, I guess. There's not really any free kills from here, however. You might be able to get some crazy... Sorry, there's just bugs everywhere. I don't know why it always happens when I stream. You could get a blind shot onto somebody right here that's not paying attention. It's totally possible. It's not even really a blind shot at that point, but you might surprise somebody doing that. Otherwise, this is an interesting zone right here. So if you stop right here, which I'm not past the line for the tape, and I stop right here, nobody in the snake can see me. The corner can't see me. The snake 1 guy's not going to shoot me unless he's like looking on the inside, or their Aztec guy dove into this like weird beam that's right here. Otherwise, I can actually see this can really well, and I can check off to see if there's a guy in the center, on my side at least. So that's kind of an interesting look. And I don't know how it'll be at the actual tournament, but that is roughly along this line. It's like within this gap right here, within this spot. So maybe that's worth taking a look at when you're actually practicing. I don't know. You guys will have to tell me. No, it's not Julian. I'll have to remember. I'll have to look it up. I feel so embarrassed I can't remember his name. So would you say to keep tabs on the center guy to adjust? Yeah, the higher up the divisional ranks you go, this is true for pretty much every division, or at least it should be. You should always play as if the center is hot unless you can prove that he is not. So if you're not sure where the middle guy is, whether that's 3-man or in 5-man, you should always play as if there is a guy in the center. If there's multiple bunkers in the center, you should play as if the guy is in the bunker that would absolutely ruin your day. So just be aware of that like, if you're not sure where the number 3 is, you should assume he's in the spot that's going to ruin your day if you take the bite for free, or if you take the bite without checking him off. And then just kind of, you don't want to hesitate, but you need to make sure you have that information before you can make that move safely. A massive threat to a push is the center because it's so easy to make and it's so open. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk about some different strategies here in a second. But we're just looking at either side for now. And I know some of you guys have played this layout already. I'm only covering this because I was asked to, but I was very behind in covering it. So I understand that like a lot of people have a lot of practice on this layout. And I think the tournament is coming up this weekend. So I'm not sure there's a lot of value from what I'm going to share with you. But maybe we'll learn something together. We'll see. When you get to the 50, SVP1 bug 0, absolutely. Welcome, Josh. How's it going, buddy? By the way, Josh, join the Discord server. Do not message me on Facebook. I hate Facebook Messenger. It actually like literally makes me upset when people message me there. Not because I'm mad at the person itself, but I just hate Facebook. Please message me on Discord. Okay, so this spot right here is pretty nice. In terms of surprising that can guy. I would suspect that this would probably be the first guaranteed kill, so long as they are not able to like wrap this bunker super hard on the Dorito side. If they're playing behind this bunker, I would suspect that this is their first kill that you take. And then anything other than that, wrapping further on the inside is a little scarier, but you might be able to surprise a guy in the can. It's just that when you make this bite, these two people are going to be shooting at you from this angle. This is where they're going to be looking at you. So it's a little risky to shoot this guy and then wrap further because they'll probably have balls waiting for you. Otherwise, over the top, kind of the same thing, right? You've got a lot of different spots to be concerned with. I'm not sure I would actually ever do that unless I knew that these bunkers were not looking at me or dead and I was just trying to surprise one of these two people. So I would only probably come up over the top if I was trying to win like a heads-up battle against the people in front of me. But if we back up a little bit, We do have, I would argue, somewhat of a, not a free kill, but a pretty solid shot on the Dorito 3? Dorito 3, we could call it. It might be called the Dorito 2 for some of you. We would probably call this the Delta. It gets a little confusing, but that would be the Delta, and then this would be Dorito 1 and Dorito 2, probably. But it also could be Dorito 1 through 3. That's a pretty decent shot. Obviously, the 50s are super exposed to each other. There's really no way for this guy to be alive in most cases, I would say. I mean, this is even putting, you know, if I'm even in the snake anywhere, me shooting paint at this guy right here in that same gap we looked at earlier is going to put a lot of pressure on this guy. It's not that he's going to die necessarily, but it's going to be very scary for him to do anything there. And then getting into the 50 and wrapping on the Viper is free kill still. Free kill for sure. And then obviously these guys would have to be dead. You know, you have to have whatever's going on this side of the field totally clear for you to do this. It's possible for you to make this move with a guy being in this like gap here or in this snake. It's just really dangerous to do this without those guys being dead. But it's possible that you get like, let's say you Tiger 1 here, you Tiger 2 here, then you just come and run this guy down that's right in front of you. Okay, snake side's pretty cool. Again, all the while being aware that like the center guy can absolutely ruin your day. From this gap here, if you're too high, he will kill you here. Like if you're not really low, he will definitely kill you. If you come to take this over the top shot to shoot the can, he will kill you. And the thing is too, if you get here and you start shooting at this guy, it's totally possible for him to then take this move right here and just come run you down, depending on what's obviously going on straight in front of him. But I would suspect that what happens a lot, and I could be totally wrong on this, is that if people are playing on the snake side, this is often what they're doing. So if you decide to take this route and go here, even if you actually decide to just go straight, you'll actually kill the snake guy before this dude even wraps to look at you, unless you guys follow that principle, right? You want to be productive in your bunkers, which means that if you're holding a zone, which we will talk about a little bit later, if you're holding a zone, you just want to make sure to either head check or actually shoot straight up every so often. Like shoot 20 balls, wrap and check. Shoot 40 balls, wrap and check. Shoot 10 balls, wrap and check. Like change up how often you actually check heads up. But it's very, very important that you not only check what's straight in front of you, but also turn your head to check on what's going on the opposite side of the field. Again, that's more of the stuff that we'll talk about a little bit later, which we are actually running out of time very quickly. So then let's look at up the center. Discord checks. Sick. Okay, so running up the center then, again, this is pretty easy. Super safe, I would imagine. Where are your blue light glasses, sir? Messing up with circadian rhythms? Absolutely. They're pretty dirty, so I just didn't have time to clean them. My son was playing with them. But I normally would have those. Obviously, super strong shots on this guy right here, especially if you shoot in this direction. I'm just kidding, guys. Sorry. But yes, there's definitely these gaps right here for sure that you could close off. If you're at the center, that juice can Aztec outside the snake zone blocks snake 1 if you're low. Yes. Yes, so like I'm assuming you're talking about this blind right here. Not the pen 15. Hey Gaddy, welcome. What's up, buddy? Yeah, let me see. I assume that's what you're meaning, right? This gap right here, because I can't see anything. I can't see anything of what's going on right here from this angle, but that would assume that means that I have to be in the corner to really be able to get into here. So it's possible that if this guy runs up the middle and you're already in the corner or something, you could be completely blinded getting into the snake, no problem, without the guy knowing. Yeah, for sure. This is for the SPL event that's coming up, I think this weekend. It was a big problem. Yeah, so I imagine in a 5-man getting to that corner and being here, not knowing where that guy is, could, especially if you're wrapped hard, right? For whatever reason, you know, it's possible that there's a guy in this corner and you're wrapping here to try and stop anybody from filling into the snake. But the issue is this guy can not only wrap on you and keep you in, but even if he does that, he then can, yeah, take this bite without you even knowing and then come up and shoot you from like this point right here and surprise you. Or even just get to the 50 and say, who cares? So definitely interesting. Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward middle, guys. I don't really think I need to talk too much about it. You have a lot of zone control, huge gaps. The biggest disadvantage I would say the middle has is that this angle, as always, is very bad to gunfight from. It is very hard to survive this angle. If you get really low in wedges, it's always surprising. So if you get kind of like in a like on your knees and almost like a snake position where you would, snap from the snake. If you get in that sort of low position, you'll actually be a lot harder to kill in most cases, especially if you're planning on holding a gap for a long period of time. I would try to avoid this as much as possible. Because even somebody at like a high division who wants to take this bite and shoots back at you has a very good chance of shooting you if you're not careful. So it's simply the middle player's job to kill the snake. Simple. Fight from the bottom. Yeah, exactly. So getting down here, this is like a really hard thing to kill people out of. But the center can also holds D1, D2 really well. Yeah, we'll look at the Dorito side here in a second. Looks interesting. Wouldn't mind playing this over... Oh, let's see. Playing this over Super 7's coming up next weekend, although it's not too bad this time. Yeah, it's that, dude, there's so many tournaments. Okay, let's look at the opposite side here really quick. Again, similar sort of major gaps, except that you don't see nearly as much of what's going on the Dorito side. So I would imagine that the center tends to focus their attention more on the snake just off the break. That's just an assumption, though, because it's also possible that, like, if you hold this gap, let's say you do tiger this guy in a 5-man, you tiger the number 2 on the Dorito side and there's still somebody here, it's possible for you to move up to this position while looking snake way and then just bully the Dorito guy from a different position. So like, let's say for example, there's a Dorito guy somewhere over here behind this tower, and then this guy tries to take the bite. You kill him. As you come here, you look towards the snake, which would look like this. You come over here to the snake. This is a really, really bad spot to be in for the snake guy. Assuming they're in there, which sounds like it's going to be pretty easy. However, if you have some sort of protection from the Dorito side and they are still in the can, or they're still in the corner, this is a really good way to kill this guy who would try to make that move. So that's also an option. You could even take that bite before you even kill the number 2 in front of you. You run the risk of getting run down when you do that. But this is a good way to counter that. Otherwise, you could turn your attention to maybe catching this guy here. Maybe he's in the Dorito and he's just playing down the wire. It's just every time, this is the one thing I would say, guys, every time as a number 2, if you kill the guy that's in front of you, there's a lot of opportunities in the early game to make huge plays that people are not expecting. Because if we understand that principally speaking, and most layouts, not only the number 1, but the number 2 on either sides of the field are generally concerned with what's going on straight in front of them. Okay. So let's say, for example, we're going to make the assumption that the number 3 goes to the center every time, and he's usually looking in the snake way. Well, if, for example, I decide, okay, I'm going to come here. Let's call us the number 2 on the Dorito side. So our number 1 is just surviving somewhere over here. But let's say I'm here, okay? And their number 1 somehow makes it to the corner. But I'm holding this gap right here. If this guy takes a bite and I tiger him, well, again, if we're making the assumption that most people are going to look straight in front of them, in fact, we can even grant them that they have somebody in the snake, okay? We don't know exactly where he is, but we can even grant them that they're somewhere in this positioning. So we've tigered this guy, and there's this right here. So we are here. Assuming that we have a teammate somewhere alive in one of these bunkers, as soon as we kill this guy, we can make a huge play, as long as the snake doesn't ruin our day, okay? Which is, again, this is in the early game, we can make this move really, really safely. Because the snake guy is probably, or Dorito guy, probably going to be looking heads up. And as long as we do it fast enough for the snake to see us, we can kill this guy and we can kill this guy. And possibly even the snake through just that single push. It has to be done very quickly. Then it has to be done in the early game. It has to be like, I go here, this guy takes the bite really quickly, I tiger him, and then I go. I take the bite, and I kill this guy, and I kill this guy. So it's not perfect. It's not going to this is going to work every time. But these are the things that I look at when I'm playing the number 2 on any layout is what happens when I kill the guy in front of me. If I kill the guy in front of me, and assuming that their front guy is in some sort of position that's kind of isolated at that point, because right here, nowhere does the Dorito know where I'm at. Unless he saw me as he was running out of the corner, the Dorito doesn't know I'm here. He doesn't know that I'm here, right? He might not very well know that I'm here even at this point, even if he's looking inside, okay? Because he might be looking this direction. So I have a lot of wiggle room to kind of abuse that about the Dorito 1. And all I have to really worry about is whatever the snake guy is doing. Okay, because the number 2 on the snake side can't see me, and the number 3, if he's looking snake way, can't see me. So then I can do a ton of things. I can come here, maybe shoot him in the head if he's not looking my way. I can kill this guy, maybe kill the snake if he's poking up, or again, kill this corner guy, and I'd probably get chopped up by the Dorito. But if not, I can turn and then kill the Dorito. Does that make sense? 7 dudes on this field would be rough. It absolutely would be. You could double up the center. I don't think you need to. I'm not sure it's a great idea. So what you saying is deflate the center point before the point. Deflate your opponent's center bunker every time. Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. I wouldn't double up the middle at all. Maybe a guy stands off the break a bit and then kicks out to the side of the not. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, Josh, this looks like hella fun. I think a snake would be different. I see angles differently. Being a taller gentleman, consistently popping the top. See, that's beautiful. I don't enjoy those angles. So, so be fast. Got it. Yeah, you definitely want, like, when you make those types of plays, it has to be that, hey guys, we're gonna send our middle dude looking Dorito way to Tiger the number 2. If he gets him in the first, between the breakout and the first 30 seconds of the point, 30 seconds is even kind of long. If you can kill him in that first 15 to 20 seconds, then make that play almost regardless. Like, just make that play and just see what happens, right? If the home guy or if the center guy is looking snake way, it's a beautiful play. If he's looking your way, you're in trouble. But I feel like a 3-man game on this layout would be dragged out. No, I don't know. 3-mans are only dragged out if people don't want to be aggressive, and that's usually what's usually factoring there is just how good players are, or like what division they're playing in. But like 3-mans generally go pretty quick because it's hard to contain people in 3-mans. So it's if you're playing against people who are explosive and good, it's very difficult to contain them. But it is possible to have games drawn out. Okay, let's look at the Dorito side then, and we'll be done with this layout because we need to start the zone control portion of the stream. So, pretty straightforward heads up battle. There's a lot of blinding you could do right here. So if, for example, you beat the guy in front of you, let's say you're mirrored, he's here, you're here. If you beat him, get him to flinch, you could come here and play a blind. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but you definitely could. You could play a blind here, shoot it. I don't know. I'm not sure that that's a good idea, but it's definitely there. Otherwise, you could come here, surprise him if he tries to be overzealous and take the bite. But this is actually, I would imagine in a 3-man, this is a really good bunker to play because there's a lot of options here. So you can either come here and go to this Dorito, or you can come here, and when you get this guy to flinch even more, you take this bite here to this little Dorito, and then you fight him from here. And then you keep him contained there, and then you just keep going. As long as you can keep this guy contained here, you're golden, right? And there's a lot of opportunity here because of that in 3-man. In 5-man, probably not so much. I mean, oh, I thought that was my son. You could maybe do something here in 5-man. It's just that the problem is you're going to have 2 people. You're going to have this guy shooting at you and this guy shooting at you. So you can't really just take this bite for free. But it does, if there's just a lot of opportunities in 3-mans. I'm having a hard time seeing this as a 5-man layout because honestly, it's pretty small. But if you beat this guy heads up, you could come here and do one of these where you're now low and watching, like you get him to flinch and then maybe he just takes the bite reactively. You might be able to surprise him in like a kneel, like low position by shooting on the inside here from this little gap. Otherwise, again, you could come here. You could come here. You could even just come here and stay over the top and punish him. And obviously, you'd have to scan what's going on the Dorito side. But, like, you're pretty safe from whatever's going on in the middle if you stand back here. Let's see, actually. That wedge guy's going to ruin your day. That's pretty far. It's not really much of an advantage. So, yeah, maybe not. Maybe you can't just, like, float out here freely because this middle guy's going to ruin you. But let's go to the Dorito corner. So, if you get to the corner, you could avoid the Aztec guy. You could probably go low enough to avoid him and then take essentially the same angle from this Dorito 1. Otherwise, obviously, corners definitely can see each other. It's not a true tape, though it's kind of like a traditional janky Dorito tape, right? They're kind of mixed all around. Getting up to this first Dorito then, you don't have any free kills, as you shouldn't. But you do have to be careful playing over the top in 5-man. I would be very careful being on your feet in 5-man because if you are, this guy will kill you if he does that like lay down thing we looked at earlier. So just be aware of that. Play more on the Dorito side of things. It's a really strong challenge on the Aztec guy Really strong challenge. As soon, I mean, we're talking about inches, right? Not even inches, like millimeters. As soon as that guy flinches, look, I'm instantly blinded from him, and I can just take this bite right here. Okay? You can surprise, if it's a 5-man, you can surprise the number 2 behind him. And at this point, unless you're tall, this guy's going to ruin your day. That is something that I didn't consider as much as I should have. If you are tall and you can see over this wedge, you are very, 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 very dominant on this layout. Because most people, I am not tall enough to shoot over this. So I'm assuming that the only angle that people can really see you from is this angle right here. And if I can't see that angle, they can't see me. But that's not entirely true. So just be aware of that. Like even right here, I assume that this guy can't really see me. But he can if he's tall enough, right? So you just have to be very careful of that. Coming up here, again, same thing. Got to be really careful of that. Otherwise, you're safe. So just be aware of who's playing the center against the people you're playing. Kind of the same thing, but in terms of like Dorito heads-up battle, this is probably the first Dorito. Yeah, you can shoot each other unless you go low. But this is the first Dorito where you really don't need to worry about what's going on in front of you unless they're in the 50. And in which case, you could... I wouldn't actually try to blind that Aztec. You still could get shot in the hopper if he shoots from that corner down on you. You could still get clipped. Otherwise, if for whatever reason you tigered somebody here, let's say it's the number 2, and there's somebody over in the Doritos, and you don't know where the middle guy is. Maybe he's somewhere in this bunker. This guy, you can actually put some pressure on him. You're not going to kill him unless he's playing super sloppy, but you could put some pressure right here when you come up to this bunker and maybe get a pack kill, or if they're on their knees, maybe shoot them in the leg or something. But this is a bunker you got to be very careful about because of the snake side. This spot right here is going to ruin you. And in fact, can we survive? We can. Okay, so if we play the Dorito side of this, we can survive the snake, but you're going to be sweating. You're going to be pretty scared in that situation. Otherwise, again, assuming they're not in the 50, this guy's going to have a hard time surviving. Obviously, the middle is going to ruin your day if they're right here, because that's a really close shot. This is one of those where if you guys don't want to... I mean, it's too late to practice this now, but in layouts like this, when you're so close to the middle guy, the only way to survive that, because you can't really afford to head check it unless you just do it really quickly, but the best way to survive that is to just know where that lined up shot is and then take it, just with almost regardless. Whether you know they're there or not, being here and then snapping out and having those balls be right where you need them to be and then come back in, that's the only way to do that very safely at a high level, I would say. Again, you can head check. It's just you give away your positioning for nothing. So you're just telling them, hey, I'm now in the Dorito 4 or whatever, but I didn't put any pressure on you, and now you're just going to dump a bunch of paint on me. This 50 sucks, dude. Even that snake cake can really ruin your day here, like we said. So this is a really, really hard bunker to survive in. I would suspect that this bunker you really only go in if... Well, even if you think there's not somebody in the snake, it's kind of hard to play this without knowing that one side is completely blown open. So I would say that if there's nobody in these Doritos, any one of these, it's fine to come here, but it just feels like a really hard spot to get to and survive if there's somebody in the Doritos, because you can't wrap hard enough on this bunker to survive what the snake is going to do to you. So I would suspect that you'd have to have the Dorito 1 guy dead for sure. Again, this guy's definitely dead. If there's anybody in the Aztec, he's dead. And if there's anybody in the corner, they're dead. So you get 3 kills if you get to the 50 on the Dorito side, almost assuredly. But it has to be the guy in front of you is also dead, because it's going to be really hard to play here otherwise. Again, it's possible that the snake 1's dead and you can come here and then maybe fight with the guy, but this is a crappy angle. To fight a Dorito guy, any one of these bunkers, by challenging from this angle is just like a losing battle, especially because it's a low bunker. You could surprise him by coming up over the top, but as soon as you try to retake this position, this is a very, 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 very difficult gun battle for you compared to what it will be for the Dorito guy. So just, I don't know. I would kind of use that 50 as a leapfrog unless you can get some pretty sick kills that I just don't know about. I see the middle guy being the last guy in every game. It depends. It depends on if you want to blow up on the point or not. Hey, 22 of you guys watching right now, we're almost going to start the zone control portion of tonight's stream. But please, while you're here, please tickle. Just very ever so lightly. If it says stop, definitely stop. But just tickle the like button a little bit, okay? You looking at any other layouts this stream or able to? Would love your thoughts on the layout I'm planning in 2 weeks time. I need to know that stuff before I stream, just because I don't have any thumbnails or anything prepared. But I am watching. I'm doing 2 more portions of tonight's stream, so I won't have time, unfortunately. But I'm happy to look at the layout in a different stream. Remember, when people move, especially in a 3-on-3, they're also giving up a lane, so you see a bolt out and gives you the opportunity to move too. Yes, exactly. Cough, wipe, cough. So you don't love Dorito side? I primarily consider myself a Dorito player, but 50 is super late game. Depending on where people are at, it's tough. Okay, cool. All right, that's it. I think that's it. So in terms of 3-man, it's going to be, guys, honestly, 3-man is super boring. It's the same thing every time. Everybody's gun is up. The middle guy is going to be floating in somewhere in these zones. And then, again, everybody's just playing wherever they want. I'm not trying to be phallic here, but like, that's generally all the 3-man is. But in terms of 5-man, you could probably do, sending a guy up to the middle is pretty safe. You could put your number 2 here, and your number 1 can either go in one of these bunkers, depending on what their survivability is. This isn't revolutionary information. It's kind of duh. But I would suspect that making this snake is going to be really hard. So I would say that the snake is probably going to be going here, with the exception of like option plays that you're going to try snake off break. But this is not a layout where I think you can make snake off break almost 50% of the time. So I would just be very wary of that. Otherwise, again, like in 3-man, everybody's got their guns up. You're just trying to do whatever you can to, and the philosophy of 3-man is just bully somebody off the break. Do I want to kill the Dorito guy? Do I want to kill the snake guy? In a 3-man, I don't know if I'd really be worried about the snake guy, because again, this portion of the field, if everybody's alive, is really not that useful. Because you want them to be laying down, right? If they're laying down, you can just rain paint on them and there's not really much they can do, and they're not getting a lot of intel. So I would suspect that in 3-man, this is a lot of what's going to be happening on the snake side, is people are going to be playing a lot of this. And certainly, if you kill somebody, if one of these 2 kills each other, if you tiger this guy, then you can just be essentially on your feet the whole way down the snake side. But as long as both people are alive on either side of the field, nobody's really going to go into the snake here. They might go to this right here. But that's probably as much as they'll do. That's usually what happens. But so with that being the case, you might not care to try to bingo the snake guy. Or you might say to yourself, hey, if we bingo the snake guy, then that gives our snake guy the freedom to just kind of run down and do whatever. But the middle guy has more of a strength against the snake in this case than he does the Dorito. So it might be, the philosophy is, we should try to kill the Dorito guy more often than the snake, because we're going to assume that their home guy's looking this way. But if we have 2 guns over on the Doritos, then it makes a really quick 2v1 fast push this side. And in fact, it might be 2v0, right? If we tiger this dude. So that means that we can just essentially wrap the field on him really quickly, kill this guy, and just find out wherever the snake guy is in a 3-man. So there you go. There you have it. That's it for this portion of tonight's stream. I'm going to end this portion of the stream. I will send the link for the other stream in this chat, so be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, you can just go to my channel and you'll find it here in a second. I just need to get some water, take a little bit of a break. I know we're a little behind, but thanks guys so much for watching. If you are watching this as a YouTube video, please leave a comment down below. Just, I don't know, man. Say like, howdy do, scoop de boo. I don't know, something stupid. But thanks guys. Lame layout. Yeah, it's okay. I think the layout's fine. It just looks like there's not a lot going on. So, but all right, thanks guys. I will see you shortly. Peace.